It's the end of 2011 and I hear that there's a video game exhibition coming to Australia. In fact, coming to my town, Melbourne, Australia. I couldn't believe this. A video game exhibition. Not only that, it was going to have modern games, retro games and arcade games. I cannot wait.
In the future, they might even open up a museum to tribute video games, because the generation of video games is still pretty young. It's been going since, I guess, the 60s, but it only kicked in the late 80s.
It's 2012 and Marvel have given us The Avengers, where all the Marvel characters are coming together. Ridley Scott, the director of the original Alien film, has finally given us the prequel, Prometheus.
They're leaving.
To go where?
Earth.
We were so wrong. Take us home! If you don't stop it!
And for the last time we see Christian Bale playing Batman in Dark Knight Rises. Well, a James Bond film came out in 2012 and that film was Skyfall. Pretty much the most popular James Bond film ever made. It's still not my favourite, but it's a pretty good film. Yes, it's nearing the end of 2011 and I hear about this video game exhibition. I'm all excited and I cannot wait. I'll look up information and there's no exact date yet. But a day later, I get an email from the organisers of the exhibition asking me to help organise it and wanting to borrow my consoles, arcades and other peripherals for display. The exhibition was known as Game Masters and it was going to be epic, with programmers and game developers coming from all around the world. And while I was assisting Game Masters, I had a lot of media attention from pretty much everywhere. In the meantime, I had a lot of new subscribers come to the channel, well, because I guess I was on Good Game, a show that aired on the ABC in Australia. Well, a lot of people wanted to see my Star Wars collection and my radio controlled car collection, so I had to make another 2 channels.
However, in the last 2 months, I've been tidying up, and there's another 2 hobbies I've got a fascination with: radio controlled cars and Star Wars collecting. So I'm going to start 2 more channels. Let's go and have a look. Now, the radio control car channel is going to be called RC Hobby Place.
Now, clearly this was a huge mistake because I really didn't have Last Gamer thriving and I started putting attention into another 2 channels. And as much as I love radio control cars, I really didn't have the passion to do a channel about them. I just wanted to please a few fans.
Let's go over to the next one. Okay, so the Star Wars channel is going to be called Star Wars Collectibles.
Yes, that's the name I finally chose, and if you want to hear something extremely ironic, I was going to call the channel Last Jedi to coincide with Last Gamer. And can you believe it that later on a movie would come out called Last Jedi, or The Last Jedi? And again, I just wouldn't have the passion and drive to do a YouTube channel on Star Wars collecting, and there were a lot of channels out there that would do a lot better job than me, so it didn't last as long as I'd hoped.
Hi everyone, today Game Masters open at Acme.
So in blog number 18 I talk about Game Masters and the museum that I was heavily involved with. And it was amazing. This blog actually really took off because a lot of people wanted to know the background mechanics of donating my collection, even though it was only for a few months, to a museum.
So we can't actually throw up anything at the moment because Alex has got to edit it. And you'll see it very soon. I'll show you a sneak peek of what we saw there, just to give you a bit of a teaser. And a couple of weeks ago I was in the Herald Sun, which is a Victorian paper.
So as you can see, it says Joel on his mission for his $1.5 million collection. I don't know who actually valued that. I didn't say it was worth $1.5 million. In fact, I even told the guy that it barely cost me anything to get this collection because I'd buy and sell. Then we head off inside the museum ourselves with the camera. So there's my consoles all along the back wall in those boxes. and then we're talking to Hex from Good Game, from the TV show, and then Barjo comes along and has a bit of a chat to us, and we become pretty good friends with those guys.
And also Virtual Fighter. So this is basically the Yu Suzuki territory. That was actually good.
So if you missed that, that was actually Tim Schafer, responsible for many classic games like Full Throttle, Secret of Monkey Island, Day of the Tentacle, and the list goes on. And Alex was a massive fan, bigger than me, and he had to put that little Full Throttle guitar riff in there.
What's it like being called a game master?
I was embarrassed about it at first, but I'm starting to become more and more comfortable with it. In fact, I'm going to insist on it from now on. It's nice. I mean, it's a little embarrassing because, you know, we have a whole team full of people to make these games. It's not just me, but they're not here right now, so I'm going to say it's just me. To be in the games industry now is like being in the film industry in the time of Charlie Chaplin, right? You're being around when new genres are being invented every day, new technology is coming out every day, and you're getting to invent what the art form is, you know? So it's just really fun and it's new, and also what you're making. I guess people want to make what they love, and I just love video games.
What have you contributed to the show?
Basically some of the arcades you can see here, and of course all the consoles behind you, the control pads, the handhelds, and things like that.
And so you've been also asked to take care of and repair some of the arcade machines in the exhibition as well?
Yeah, I have to look after these machines, and some are starting to go down now, being 35, 40 years old. So yeah, a lot of work ahead. In the future they might even open up a museum to tribute video games, because the generation of video games is still pretty young. You know, it's been going since, I guess, the 60s. It only kicked in the late 80s. So, you know, it's got plenty of time to have a museum and honour the artwork, the music, things like that.
Should I just go for it? Go for it. All right. Welcome to Last Gamer.
Well, I would go there almost every day, and Jess as well. I'd be looking at machines that may need repairing. I'd be checking on my consoles that they were still locked in those yellow cabinets, and I'd be looking on my own arcade machines. After being open for a couple of days, they decided to have a really big party for everyone who was involved in the museum. The creators of video games themselves, people who donated stuff such as myself and another guy called Pedro. Obviously the staff of the museum, and as well Barjo and Hex, the hosts of Good Games, were there as well. The next morning I had another media commitment. I had to go on a program known as Sunrise, a news program.
Hand control. Gee, I whacked the heck out of that thing. Just about ripped it off, just playing some of those games. But this is the one that started it all. The Magnavox Odyssey in 1972. That's before the Xbox, before the PS3. But with us now is the world's biggest video game collector. Is that right, Joel?
That's correct.
Joel Hopkins, Australian. What do you love about this? And how many do you have?
In games in total, about 9,000.
I'll stop there and say that's the number I was told to say by the producer.
Now, maybe a little bit over.
Is it worth anything these days? Is retro collect, you know, does it get any money?
It's worth a fortune, yeah, especially some of the old games, they're very, very rare. They didn't make as many as they do these days, so...
Give us an example.
Okay, say that Neo Geo system.
Yep.
That Neo Geo system, there's a game on it. It's one of the launch games, worth about $20,000.
$20,000 a game?
Yep.
Who would buy that?
Me.
What do you mean? You bought it? That's awkward.
There you go.
That's eBay. Oh my God, it is too. That's eBay. $20,000 for one game.
No, I did not pay $20,000 for any game, let alone that one. I was told to say that, again, by the producers. All for ratings.
Yep.
Why?
Just I need to finish off the collection. I've got 4 more games after that, and it's pretty much...
Wow, that is incredible. If you've
collection.
got a game console hiding somewhere in your cupboard under the stairs, get it. I might just have a quick chat over here. World's largest gaming collector in the world. What do you make? You're the old school guy. You like the old school stuff. What do you make of this new technology?
Yeah, the new technology, it's okay. It's kind of obviously anyone can make video games these days, and sometimes the quality's up, like with Fruit Ninja, Fire Controller as well, and sometimes the quality's down because there's just a mass.
You're not
market
into it at
now.
all, are you?
Not really.
I didn't think so. Biggest guy in the world in terms of collecting and a YouTube channel.
Yes, I have to say it was a lot of fun doing the video game exhibition at Acme Centre, but it did take its toll. I had the Herald Sun, The Age, do a lot of filming, asking me for interviews, asking me to go from one place to the next, and it took its toll. I had a mild heart attack in all this, and then The Age turned up to my house the day after I get out of hospital from the heart attack and get me to do this interview. It's an interview I did not like at all. It was scripted. None of these words were words I chose. I was told what to say, such as look out for my Ferrari. And the other thing I didn't like is I was puffed out of breath pretty much all the way through the interview because I was still in recovery. And that Nissan GTR, well, that's another story.
My name's Joel Hopkins. I've got said to be the biggest collection of video games in the world, with arcades, consoles and handhelds. Let's start off with the arcades. Just watch the Ferrari.
Welcome to the fantasy zone. Get ready.
Hi, welcome to my arcade room. These are my arcade uprights. Got Ghosts and Goblins, 19XX, the classic Ninja Turtle 4-player, and Virtual Fighter 2. Coming over here, so 1988 masterpiece known as Power Drift, basically a buggy driving game. And it's pretty cool. This is Afterburner, which is a classic. You fly an F-14 Tomcat through 23 stages. This was made in 1987. It's essentially a simulator. And moving on to the next one, this is Outrun, which is a classic 1985 game where you drive a Ferrari convertible across 5 stages, beaches. This was made in 1986 by the famous Yu Suzuki. And that leads us on to our next one, which was also made in 1986. And it's the famous Enduro Racer, made by Yu Suzuki again. On this one, this doesn't move, but you can pull back on the bike to perform jumps. This is Sega's Gem, made in 1985. Definitely the rarest machine in the world, and that's Space Harrier. There's only 63 of these moving machines made. Let's have a look. I've got a very understanding wife, thank God. She doesn't mind me having these machines and hasn't booted them out of this arcade room. Okay, this is my most recent consoles, Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3. Also you've got up here Xbox One and PlayStation 2. This is where the video game library is. So you've got the Nintendo consoles, so all the variant 64s, all the different colours, the Wii. Then moving on, we've got all my DS games, my Game Boy games, Super Nintendo games. And I've got a full library of N64 games. Moving over to here, which is a niche console, the Neo Geo. Now the Neo Geo games used to be around $400 retail when they came out, and that was in 1990. This game, for example, Metal Slug, goes for around $5,000. So I won't be selling that anytime soon. Lucky I bought it back in the day. Let's go and look at the Sega Saturn. So the Sega Saturn is one of those consoles that Sega released that didn't go too well except for Japan. There's actually 1,272 games. I've got every game from the first game they made to the last. Some of the games actually haven't even been used yet. They're still in their shrink wrap. Anyway, let's go on to the Mega Drive. The Mega Drive was a Sega console released in the late 80s. My claim to fame would have to be Tetris. There was only 3 of these produced, and they were prototype copies. Apparently, these went for around $800,000 on eBay. I think that's a bit much. Lucky I didn't pay it, thanks to a good contact in Sega Japan. Okay, now let's go and see what I do on Friday nights. In every room there's an Xbox 360 and a PlayStation 3, especially this room, which is the cinema room. Now this is THX certified cinema. When the mates come over, we team up in every room, and what we'll do, we'll play LAN parties. LCD here, big screen here. I've been collecting since I was 5 years old. I've now got over 1,000 printed circuit board arcade games, moving machines, over 9,000 console games, and hundreds of consoles, almost everything made. So I think it's time to hang the boots up and play these games.
Well, while there were some good times doing the exhibition, I have to say that there was more negative times. In fact, the negative outweighed the positive tenfold. There was heaps of problems. and it's something I probably wouldn't do again in a hurry.